Welcome to Christian Talk with Eric Thompson, a thoughtful podcast helping Christians navigate life. A podcast for Christ, covering faith, family, political issues, using God's Word, the Bible. The victory is ours. Let our light shine before others so they may glorify our Father in heaven. Welcome to Christian Talk with Eric Thompson.
Welcome to Christian Talk. Thank you so much for joining me again. My name is Eric Thompson. I'm out here in California. It is Thursday, October 14th, 2021. If you want to get information on our podcast here, head over to our website, christiantalk.life. christiantalk.life. You can hear all the podcasts, see the videos and articles I've written at christiantalk.life. Today we're going to go over immigration. We're going to go over and answer like three or so questions about when liberals and social justice activists run to the Old Testament of the Bible, which they abhor normally, and then even into the New Testament, trying to grab a verse from Jesus or so. Then we're going to talk about, did the Old Testament period, when Israel was wandering around as nomadic people, as a nation, did they, when a sojourner or a stranger or a worker, when somebody would just walk up into this crowd walking through the desert, would that be the same thing as somebody, an economic immigrant leaving Saudi Arabia, coming up through Mexico, up through our border without going through the proper process the same? Would that be something that Christians should embrace within the socio-legal settings of our country? What's an illegal alien? What's an immigrant? Who's on a work visa? And how does somebody get to be and have a green card or a status? In other words, is there a equivalent to back then and now? And why would people who hate the Bible, the Old Testament, it's a misogynistic, cruel, baby-killing, terrible, egocentric deity, until they want to have illegal immigration. Then they go try to pull some verses out. So we're going to go over that. But before we jump into the scriptures, let's try to reason this out, and then we're going to go through the basics of protecting family. And then when we get into the individual to the family unit up to the government, then we'll look at how should we treat illegal aliens. Okay, Romans 13 says that God is the one that establishes governments. And the laws they pass are to punish the evildoers and to protect the innocent. So they help the innocent people, and they punish the evildoers, trying to get law and order. We are told to be peaceable, good citizens, so we would then follow the laws as long as they're not in direct conflict with what God says. Thus, the immigration laws say that you cannot aid and abet an illegal alien. It's illegal to help illegal people at all. So Christians in the United States, with a government established by God, who passed immigration laws according to the Constitution, then should defend and honor the laws that are on the books. When it comes to individual lives, do you lock your car if you're a single person? Do you lock your car? Do you lock your doors on your apartment or house? Do you keep a weapon or something with you if you're going through dark alleys? Are you trying to preserve your life? Because if so, wouldn't that be kind of, if you're a liberal and you're saying that everybody should help illegal aliens, the ones, we hear the stories and you can see them in the news where a girl is on a jog in Iowa, an illegal alien chases her down, rapes her, and kills her. Is that okay, though, because we're supposed to, take the risk and let millions of people come in not knowing who they are? So then that girl died, and what if I, with my wife and children, what if I would have left the doors open? And knowing that people were coming into town, and some of them might want to do harm, and I just leave the door open because I want to make sure that they feel welcome. I don't know who they are. They've broken the laws to get in the country. But who am I to not want to treat them like me? Would that be reasonable to allow them to have access to my wife and children and my resources and could possibly do us harm? Of course not. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, "Give these instructions to the believers so that they will be above reproach. If anyone does not provide for his own, and especially his own household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." If we don't take care of ourselves and protect ourselves, being wise as serpents, gentle as doves, and we don't take care of our household, and then we don't care about who's running across our border that could be terrorists or anybody else, then we are foolish people that are not supposed to look at nomadic situations where strangers could walk up into a mob of people walking through the desert and try to equate that. And we'll go through stories and examples like in Egypt where the Pharaoh, they would require like visa paperwork back then, thousands of years ago. When Israel wanted to leave Sinai and go through the land toward Egypt, they asked for permission, which was denied, and so they went around. Yeah, but what about the alien verses? Well, we'll get to them, but keep in mind, like Franklin Graham said, this modern day immigration is not a biblical issue, as in you can't compare back then to now. And the people trying to hate Jesus Christ, they're not Christians, and they definitely hate the Old Testament, and so but now they want to try to use it when it's expedient for them, when it might help their cause, and it's really blasphemous. It's absurd. Ephesians 5:28. In the same way, husbands, love your wives as they love their own bodies. Who loves his wife loves himself. Indeed, no one hated his own body, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church. Men would die for their wives. The last thing you would do is let people come into your house, into your car, not protect the family, not take steps to make sure that they were as protected as possible. And we'll go over a few verses before we go to our first break here. I'm gonna give you some of the verses that people who don't believe the Bible are going to try to use these. And keep in mind, can we contrast nomadic people wandering with today? So here's how they'll approach it. Deuteronomy 10:19. You shall also love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Let's see, have we been wandering? No. We came over on boats, so kind of different, and then we established borders, and then we have military, then we have immigration laws. Yeah. Okay, well then that probably is not going to work. Let's see here. First Chronicles 16:19 through 22. When there were a few in number of little flock, the strangers in the land, wandering from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another people, he allowed no one to oppress them. He rebuked kings on their account, saying, "Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm." Are economic refugees trying to flood in our country from 150 different nations? Are we God's elect nation where God is protecting us from harm? No. And it goes on and on. Ezekiel 47:22. You shall allot it as an inheritance for yourselves and for the aliens who reside among you. These are people like green card holders, ones that went through the process. Among you who have begotten children among you, they shall be to you as citizens of Israel. With you they shall inherit an allotment of inheritance among the tribes. They went through the sojourner to working to earning and then to be considered like the citizens. Our immigration laws function the same way. If somebody comes up to the border and they're not economic refugees, because after the break, I'm going to explain to you that even the United Nations globally does not recognize the right for economic immigrants or refugees for entry into a country. That's what's coming up to our border. Very, very, very few are actually legitimate asylum seekers. Governor Abbott in Texas says that the Homeland Security, the ones they are catching and documenting, then releasing, over 150 different countries have been represented this year. We're going to have 2 million. Actually, I think we just had 2 million in the last fiscal year. Illegal aliens that were actually processed. That doesn't include the maybe 2 to 3 million that were not even caught, that are floating around the country. We don't know who they are. Al-Qaeda? Hamas? Are they pedophiles? Do we have the cartel? Do we have human traffickers? Do we have drugs? Of course. But people are going to try to use Old Testament verses dealing with nomadic people walking around a desert to say, you should have wide open borders and let them in because you should love the alien. No, that's not what Christians do. Again, individuals, we're supposed to be as wise as serpents, gentle as doves, take care of ourselves. When we have families, if we love ourselves, then we're going to love our spouse, and we're going to treat them like we would treat ourselves and our children, and protect and nurture. The country has established immigration laws to keep bad people out, laws to punish when bad people get in, and then we have now a godless administration who's ignoring all of the laws and the protections and letting people pour in the country. We as peaceable Christians are supposed to honor the laws that were there, that were written by men and women that actually loved our country. And now we have godless people up there that are saying, you guys shut up. We're not going to enforce the laws, but you still have to follow all the laws that we give you. But we're going to use prosecutorial discretion, and we're going to ignore the laws when it comes to letting these people pour in the country from unknown locations because they want a better job, they want better shoes, and they want a better lifestyle. And they heard that America will hook them up with those. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to go over this actual scenario. Should we as a nation which is trying to not be Christian to a lot of people, try to take Old Testament verses, and then I'll go over a couple New Testament where they're twisting them like a pretzel, and in the end, when we're all said and done, no, Christians should love people when they're in our presence, but we do not encourage or help people that are coming here to make more money. That is not biblical Christianity. My sponsors are MyPillow.com. Make sure when you go to MyPillow.com, you use our promo code FTR to save up to 66%. MyPillow.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit my
Again, our promo code is FTR. Our next sponsor is Freedom Phone. It's like an Android phone, except it gives you back your privacy. FreedomPhone.com, and you'll use the promo code SAVE to save $50. FreedomPhone.com.
Name one time in history where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech, because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours, because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking, because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you, and gives you the option to stop it. Your data, your rules. That's our motto. The Freedom Phone is comparable to the best smartphones on the market. It has an edge-to-edge screen, a super fast processor, and multiple cameras. And your SIM card transfers into the Freedom Phone seamlessly. Big tech companies hold a monopoly on public communication and the dissemination of information, and they are abusing that power. Nobody elected Mark or Jack to be the arbiters of truth in America, yet they still thought it was okay to ban a sitting president from their platforms. If they censor a president, they will censor anyone. Imagine if Mark Zuckerberg censored MLK or Abraham Lincoln. The course of history would have been altered forever. Out of all the constitutional amendments, there's a reason why the Founding Fathers made the right to free speech the very first. I believe you have a voice that deserves to be heard without being censored. Protect yourself from big tech censorship. Let your voice be heard. Live free with the Freedom Phone.
Again, freedomphone.com, promo code SAVE. Freedomphone.com, promo code SAVE, you'll save $50. All right, thank you again for staying with me. This is Christian Talk, and we're going over immigration today. The use and abuse of the Bible and the immigration debate. We got to get this all squared away here, because we cannot have millions and millions of people pouring in, and then when all the crimes are committed, then people look around. Whoa, whose fault is it? Yeah, somebody killed my family. Well, then how did they get justice? Well, they were trying to help the illegal aliens on the board, we're supposed to do this, and now that's not how it works. So I have an article here from the Centers for Immigration Studies, and they break this down pretty good here. Okay, so Jack Hoffmeyer, he wrote a book about this called The Immigration Crisis, Immigrants, Aliens, and the Bible, Crossway Books, 2009. All right, 3 questions that we're going to go over. Was there such a thing as a territorial sovereignty in the second millennium? Was in BC? When people run back to the Old Testament to try to use these verses, like here's some more of the verses they're going to try to use. We're talking 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. Oh, let's see here. Jeremiah. If you truly amend your ways and your doings, if you truly act justly one with another. Now, this is for the Jewish people talking to each other. This isn't aliens. But then it says, if you do not oppress the alien, the orphan, and the widow, and shed innocent blood in this place, and go after other gods, and I will dwell with you, God says, in the land of your ancestors. The aliens, the one that were sojourners, would come in, and then they would be turned away or they would leave. And then you had some of them that would actually be accepted in because of their talents, and then they would earn their way into like a green card citizenship. But if we go all the way back to when these verses are being written, then let's see he answered that regarding the first question, which was there such a thing as territorial sovereignty? He said the answer is unequivocally yes. Small nations, small and large, had clearly recognizable borders back then when these Bible verses were being written. And typically, like the warring Egyptians and the pharaohs and all them would establish their borders with valleys, rivers, and mountain ranges. But he said, as an archaeologist, he said wars were fought over the boundary lines where they would be drawn, and forts were strategically placed on the frontiers to defend the territory and to monitor movements of the pastoralist. Permits akin to the modern visa were issued to people entering another land. In the tomb of Khnumhotep, governor of Central Egypt, 1865 BC, a band of foreign travelers are shown before the governor. An official presents him with a permit or a visa, which spells out there's 37 people from Syria, Canaan, that were allowed to come in. And the recent excavation in North Sinai has revealed a pair of additional forts at Tel Hubua, 2 miles east of the Suez Canal, another one 3 miles from there, and 1450 to 1200 BC, where they were carefully examining who was coming into Egypt. The Israelites, when they left Egypt, they respected sovereign territory. So Moses and the Hebrews lived in a nomadic existence for 40 years by Mount Sinai. Since no country, not even Egypt in those days, had claimed homogeny or had taken that land over this part of the peninsula, the Hebrews moved freely and required no permission from anybody. But once they left Sinai and needed to pass through Edom in southern Jordan, they asked for permission in Numbers 20, 14 through 21. Remember, this is when people are saying, be nice to the alien, take him in, and don't care about borders. Everybody should run around. Numbers 20, 14 through 21. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, Edom, we are in Kadesh, a country on the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your land. We will not pass through a field or vineyard or drink water from a well. We will go along the king's highway. We will not turn aside to the right or the left until we have passed through your territory. But Edom said to him, you shall not pass through, lest I come out with the sword against you. All the people of Israel said to him, well, we will go up by the highway, and if we drink any of your water, I am my livestock, and I will pay for it. Just let us pass through on foot, nothing more. And he said, you shall not. So Israel turned away and didn't go into the land. Secondly, what's the difference between a stranger and an alien? The Bible has different terms. Okay, a stranger, sojourner, an alien, and a foreigner. There's several episodes in the Bible that illustrates how a foreigner becomes a green card holder, a gur. The individual of the party has received permission from the appropriate authorities in a particular culture, going up to our border, asking to be considered, filling out the paperwork, coming through at the right time. And then once you prove yourself, if it makes sense for the nation, you can earn citizenship. And this reminds me of in the book of Genesis, there was a famine, and the sons of Jacob, they're running out of food. They're like, well, we better go to Egypt where there's fertile land, and we know our brother's there, but he's mad at us, but we've got to get some food. And so even though their brother is the number 2 person in the land, they still went to the Pharaoh and said, can we have permission to settle in your land, please? Genesis 47, 3-6. And they said to Pharaoh, these are the 70 members of the Israeli startup. Your servants are shepherds and our fathers, as our fathers were. And they said to Pharaoh, we have come to sojourn. We've come to go through your land, for there's no pasture for your servants' flocks, for the famine is severe. And now please, can we go from a sojourner, and then can we settle down as servants? Can we become green card holders? And the Pharaoh said to Joseph, you and your father and your brothers, they've come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle them in the best part of the land. So we notice that they declare their intention to sojourn. And deferentially they ask then, when we find where we can settle, can we stay? And they were given permission. GERS is the G-E-R-S. Second story illustrates how permission or an invitation to a foreigner to reside in a foreign land resulted in Moses becoming a sojourner, stranger, and alien. So when Moses fled after killing the Egyptian that was killing the Jewish people, he killed him. He took off, and then he went into a land as a sojourner, and then he helped out some women that were being harassed. And then the father of them said, hey, who is this guy? And then he went from sojourner to, well, you can stay if you take care of my herd. So you're coming to me. You came to me. You presented. I said yes. You then can earn your way into citizenship. Do you see the pattern here? And this is the Old Testament. But here's what they'll do. Here's what the people do. Well, Jesus says, truly I say to you, as you did to the least of my brothers, you did to me. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. See? Contribute to the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to the strangers. We do that in our laws, our immigration laws. We do that when people are in the country. If they're struggling, they go to churches, they go to food banks. If we know somebody and we can bless them with a meal, then out of our own internal love that comes from God, we help people. But this idea that there's this universal ignoring of every structure, everything that was set up by God who established the government in our country, is just lunacy. And you cannot take the Old Testament and you cannot take the way Christians were supposed to treat each other, because most of the New Testament was Christians dealing with Christians. But as we meet people that are lost, that are not saved, and then God moves in our hearts, then we help them. So let's tie this all together. God is love. God saves us as Christians. And if you're truly saved, then we want to bless people. as people come across our path, as we are protecting ourselves, protecting our families, we're being good stewards, then in our system here, which is not a nomadic culture, which even when they roamed, they asked for permission, but we meet people, if they're in need, honest need, then we help them individually. But for our government to have established laws and for people who we don't know who they are with various backgrounds to be allowed to enter in and then to go through the land, hurting people, taking resources, when most of them are doing it for economic reasons. And I'll finish with this. Even the United Nations, when they use the term migrant worker, it says here in Wikipedia, economic migrants are generally not eligible for asylum. There's no such thing as an economic asylum. Therefore, they don't fall within the criteria for refugee status, and they're not entitled to receive international protection. Over the economic refugee on Investopedia, they say an economic refugee is a person who leaves his or her home in search of better jobs and higher standard of living. That is not what a true refugee is. A refugee is somebody that has been forced out by threat. People have died. They're in a starvation, like when the Jews had to go to Egypt because they had no food and they were going to die. They truly had to, for survival purposes, go and request permission and aid from another country. That is how it's supposed to work. Letting people run into our country because they want better jeans, better televisions, and they want free school and free medical has nothing to do with Christians taking care of aliens, taking care of people, because these people aren't coming starving. They are not people that came here out of desperation. That's why like less than 10% of the people actually get asylum if they ask for it. The way it should go, in my opinion, and I think it's biblical, we send out missionaries. The United States of America sends out hundreds of billions of dollars in aid. Why aren't we sending people and supporting missionaries and supporting groups that go into El Salvador and Guatemala, into these foreign countries, and help them learn how to grow crops and get clean water? Why aren't we helping them if they're truly needing help? Helping them locate in their regions instead of busing them like they did from Syria up to Sweden and to France and Italy. Now we're having all kinds of problems with cultural differences, rapes, and everything else. That's compassion. The church in those countries, give them resources, keep them in prayer, and they can minister to the people, not saying, come on in, 150 different countries. You come in as you are, and we will hook you up and give you stuff. That is not what Christians should be endorsing. And if you think you should be, I'm confused. So open your Bibles, pray, and just let God do what God's going to do, because we don't have control of it. We're supposed to be good citizens. But having open borders and people pouring in is not biblical Christianity and loving aliens. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you tomorrow.